What's up? What's up? What's up? It's Tea and Truth time with Dr. Baggage Handler. Because if y'all didn't see the invitation and the announcement this past weekend, I have completed the thing. So just, watch me graduate on Sunday. And let me turn this fan off because it's loud. Hello, hello, hello. But yes, your girl has completed the program. She has defended her dissertation. The panel approved her, and the Lord has seen fit to bestow upon me the honor of doctor. I don't even know what to say. Happy Tuesday, Michelle. Happy Tuesday. I don't even know what to say. Goals that you didn't even set out to have. And he finds a way to fit his will in your life. Look at that. But at any rate, this is Tea and Truth Tuesday. And today, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Michelle Brown Russell. Today is Tea and Truth Tuesday, and today we are talking about where did this pattern come from? Last week we began our August talk, and August is focusing on self-sabotage, right? Now, the ultimate goal in this whole, let's talk about self-sabotage, the ultimate goal is to build confidence, right? And so we talked about what confidence was. I'm trying to get off my phone. We talked about what confidence is, which is the state of being certain, right? And then we we talked about how to build our confidence. Does anybody remember the formula? Hmm? Does anybody remember the formula? I'm gonna give you like 3 seconds. Okay. Confidence equals evidence plus acknowledgement, right? So when we talk about building your confidence, we want you to celebrate your wins, celebrate your accomplishments, celebrate what you've done. Don't let a big accomplishment go by and just be like, okay, the next thing, right? You take time, whatever that accomplishment is. If it is, it could literally be washing, folding, and putting up the laundry. Now, I'm not saying have a party because you got your laundry washed and folded up. But I am saying acknowledge that you've done something. Sit, watch one of your favorite shows, not binge watch. Watch one of your favorite shows that you hadn't watched in a while. Read a part of your favorite book. Sit down and have a nice, refreshing, uh, not a alcoholic drink, but a nice, refreshing lemonade, a nice, refreshing something. Just take a moment and say, you know what? That's a big thing. One day, I had got my laundry all cleaned up. Let me tell you what I did. One day, I had got my laundry all cleaned up, washed, put away, and the laundry room floor was empty. Oh, God. There was nothing waiting to be washed, and everything that I had washed, I folded and put up. I took a picture of my laundry room. I sent it to my mother-in-law because we had this ongoing joke about what are you doing? Washing. every time, every time we call. What are you doing? Washing, folding, putting up the tabs. So this particular day, I said, you know what? I'm gonna acknowledge this. I took a picture of that nice clean laundry room. I had swept and mopped the floor and everything, wiped down the little appliances. I know that's a lot, but anyway. And so I decided, I said, I'm gonna take a picture of this laundry room, send it to my mom-in-law, and say, I finished. And she sent me a message back. She said, looks good. Now see, I acknowledged it. She acknowledged it. I had a moment of celebration. Now you know what that I remember this right that moment. And I say, you know what? If I just pace myself, I can do it again. As opposed to saying, yep, It's going to take me 17 business days to get this laundry folded. I can finish as long as I pace myself. Why? Because I'm certain I can finish because I have evidence. I acknowledge the evidence. And so now I know I can do it again. I'm certain I can get my laundry caught up. See how that works? See how that works? It's as easy as that. That was my moment of celebration. I got a little accolades from my mom-in-law. And so now I just be like, if I keep on doing a little bit at a time and finish. And then, but then you have to come to the acknowledgement also that laundry is something that is going to always be there. The thing is to not be 18 months behind and getting your laundry done. Okay, that was for free. Anyway, so that is what evidence plus acknowledgement looks like when we're trying to build confidence, right? So now that we understand what confidence is and how you can build it up, and that's not the only way, that's just the way that we're going with the baggage handler, because we're trying to get all this baggage out your soul. So last week we started talking about self-sabotage. These are the things that keep us from doing the things that gives us evidence to build our confidence. Do you see how we're building? You see how we're building? So we said that self-sabotage was one of the things that keeps us from having evidence that we can acknowledge so that we can build our confidence. Now, why are we going to this? Because we had a talk in July about what about these goals that you said at the beginning of the year and you fell back into the same set of circumstances and symptoms that you've been falling back into for all the years. So you hadn't accomplished your goal. So the ultimate goal in these brief free coaching sessions is for you to acknowledge your patterns and get your goals accomplished. Because I know for me, I would make all these promises to myself at the beginning of the year, like the beginning of the year has some kind of new anointing on it. And so we just gonna throw away all the other years and make all these goals and make some new goals because I didn't do them goals from last year. So let's try some new ones. New goals on the same bad habits is still some goals that you have not accomplished. And if you're just joining us, just this is Tea and Truth. Now, today I have water. Because I'm really trying to do something different with my life. And I got these random about 40 pounds. So here we are. So we may not have tea every time, but you're going to get this tea and this truth. So we're trying to make sure that, we headed to the fourth quarter of the year. We headed to October, November, December, the fourth quarter of the year. So now we're doing like the football players do. We in preseason. We learning about these things so that we can address these things so that maybe by the end of the year, you can at least get started on the goals that you wrote down at the beginning of the year and accomplish something towards them so that when the beginning of the year comes, you can say, all I got left to do is X, Y, and Z to complete this goal that I honestly didn't start working on until about 4 months ago. I'm just saying. All right. So now this week, we're going to go underneath the self-sabotaging behavior. Now, what did we say self-sabotage was? That is when your decisions don't match the goals that you have set. Okay? The process of tending to hamper or hurt the decisions that you have made. Okay? So, where did this pattern of self-sabotage come from? Why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep responding this way? Why do I keep making these goals and not doing them? Why do I keep finding myself in the same place, even though I say I want something different? And you said, what is wrong with me? I've said it. I've done it. You're like, I must be a little bit slow. I'm not. And you are not. So don't say that. Okay? Why don't I do better? You're not asking the right question. The question that you should ask yourself is, what did I learn along the way that makes me do this? What did I learn along the way? Okay. So I'm gonna say a word. I'm gonna say a word. The word is paradigm. 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 Simply enough, that's the program that's running on repeat in the back of your mind. It's what you think about, everything that you think about. It is what you think about you. It is what you think about what you can do. It influences what we think, how we behave, and we don't even recognize that it's going on back there because it's going on silently, because it's in your subconscious. It is made up of things that we were taught. It is made up. It comes from things that we're taught. It comes from our environment. It comes from our genetics, right? And so if if you have a thought that, nobody in I don't think this. I don't think this. Nobody in our family can ever uh make seven figures. Nobody if, mm, we don't want this is it. This is it. We don't want to be rich because rich people is mean and miserable. Is that? Or is that how they're portrayed on TV, right? So we have these thoughts that sit in the back of our mind. And when opportunities come, when we set goals, when you was little and you driving through a neighborhood and you said, "Ooh, that's my car. Ooh, that's my house. Ooh, that's my this. Ooh, that's my that." And somewhere along the way, you learned erroneously that them things ain't for you, or I my kind of people don't have those kind of things, right? So that's childhood messages, right? Then they're just experiences that shape how we think. Somebody you cared about hurt your feelings, broke your heart. A relationship that you thought was going to last forever did not. A job where you thought the people loved you and would never harm you, you ended up getting fired or laid off, and then nobody call and check on you to see if you was okay, and you thought that y'all was had such a great relationship, and that hurt and all that. And so, so you're just like, okay, I'm just not going, that shapes how you think. That shapes your paradigm. That shapes what you believe about people. And that shapes what you believe about, employment situations. And you go to the next job and you act in all some kind of way, and the people are trying to be friendly to you, and you're not letting them be friendly because your mind is shaped a kind of way, right? Think trauma happens. All these kinds of things happen and shape what we call your paradigm, what I call the back of your mind. Somewhere in the back of your mind, you feel like you can't have, hey, Dr. Armstrong. Somewhere in the back of your mind, you're thinking, I can't have this. This is not for me. So then you just start having, so you behave a certain kind of way based on what you think. Your thoughts always impact your behavior, and your behavior always impacts your results, right? So what I like to simplify that in saying is your insides is always influencing your outsides. That's the easiest way I can put it. What's in you impacts what you do out here, right? So your inside is always influencing your outside. Okay. Your body, your mind, your nervous system, all these pieces of you, your mind, your will, your emotions, your intellect, and your imagination, your soul. Uh-huh. All of these things remember repeated actions. All of these things try to put some sense into repeated actions. And when you try to do something different than your repeated action, then they all say, wait, no, 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 no. We're used to this crazy right here. We are used to this crazy right here. So we are going to stay. This is what your soul is doing. We're going to stay in this crazy right here. Even though this crazy might have you in a situation where you just don't have enough money to make your ends wave. And conceptually, you know you should go get another job. But the things that you have thought, the things that you have learned, the things that you have been taught, the things that you feel like you know keep you stuck right there in that same job that is not paying you enough. I am not telling you what I heard. Just thought you should know that. I am telling you what I have lived. Okay? All right. So be careful when you say things. I used to say this. This is what I used to say about myself. I'm just not ambitious. Like being ambitious is a bother. And I was like, I had just decided I'm just not ambitious. Because people would be doing all kind of stuff. They be building businesses, they be going after promotions, they be doing all these things to just climb up and do all the things. And I was just, I'm just not ambitious, and that's okay. That is, and it was such a lie. It was such a lie. It was such a wrong thought that I had about myself. And I would say stuff like, I wonder what's wrong with me, why I'm not ambitious. Trauma, environment, things, relationships that didn't work, all the things that I just said impacted my ability to get myself out the crisis where I was at. Okay? So the question is not what's wrong with me. The question is, where did I learn this? What do I think about this? Okay? Where did I, comfortable lies? Yes. When you are able to stay in the crazy, because why you want to stay in the old crazy? And you only have enough money to pay your bills, especially now. Because quiet as it's kept, it's some jobs out there. You just gotta go after them, right? And so you're in this crazy, and your soul is saying, "Let's stay here because we understand how to function in this crazy." So you have to tell yourself things like, "It's okay for me to do new things," right? You have to tell yourself. You have to tell yourself, I'd rather be in some new crazy making enough money to take care of myself than in this old crazy struggling. See how much sense that made? I'd rather be in some new crazy, able to pay all my bills, as long as you're not like, in danger, right? I'd rather be in some new situation, things going on, people to figure out, situations to work out, questions to answer, some new ones, and able to take care of myself because I have enough money than to stay in this old familiar crazy. Because crazy is crazy. I don't care what you do. Than to stay in this old stuff over here. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out, should I work a second job? Right? So to not go and stay digging off in the past. Okay, like don't figure out. Don't. We're not looking at. Well, my mama used to tell me this all the time. We don't want to know why she told you this, right? We don't want to know why. We ain't got to go into all that. What we want to say is, this is what I think. This is what I learned when I was growing up. I think when I was dealing with person X, I learned this. Or when that relationship ended, I started thinking this. And the question you should ask yourself after you come to, so if you get an answer of why do I do this, the question you now ask is this thought process serving me? Maybe I should think a little bit different. And so if the thought that you are having is keeping you from doing the thing that will take you to a next better set of circumstances, then you find a better thought to put in place of the thought that was not serving you. So if you were okay, I don't know what I did. I think I touched something. So if you happen to have been thinking like I was wrongly thinking, maybe I'm not ambitious, and letting that be okay, and letting that be the measuring stick and the reason why you stay where you stay. I'm just not ambitious. I looked up the word ambitious not too long ago, and it basically said expecting a certain result or something simple like that. And so I was like, Jesus, that meant I had like zero expectations. Hey, Taronda, your day is coming. And so I then realized after I looked up that word that I had been lying to myself all that time. I did expect a different result. I did expect a certain result. I didn't know how to get to it. So, with that being said, maybe you're not ambitious. Maybe there's nothing wrong with you. Maybe you've been repeating a learned pattern. This week, you ain't got to fix it all at one time. But if you're trying to get something accomplished and you can't figure out why you're procrastinating, why you're overcommitting, because remember last week we talked about self-sabotage, it's looking like it's very, very responsible. So if you're overcommitting, people pleasing, shutting down, quitting, talking yourself out of something, avoiding, procrastinating. If you find yourself, you need to go work on this plan, but instead you're like, let me go vacuum the floor. Work on the plan for an hour, go vacuum the floor. Ask yourself, why am I choosing to vacuum the floor instead of working on the plan that could get me to my next better level? What did I learn that is causing me to not go and do the thing that's going to change my life? What does this response believe it's doing for me? Ask yourself, is this an old response showing up in a new season? We cannot interrupt a pattern we haven't recognized, and we can't replace something that we haven't understood. So let's start looking where these self sabotaging patterns came from. Okay. Once we recognize where they've come from and what's been feeding it, then we can start working on teaching ourselves how to make a different response. And so then we won't procrastinate, we won't overcommit, and we'll start telling people no when we mean no, and we will say no without an explanation. No, because I can't. No, no. Karen, can you? No, I can't. Why? Because that my place. Because I said no. Because no was the answer. So maybe you're not crazy. Maybe you've been repeating a learned pattern. And if you've learned a pattern, you can unlearn it with God's help and replace it with a new one. Okay? So we're going to stop self sabotage. I promise you we are. Because I have mostly, a whole lot better. So y'all come back on Friday and we'll talk some more about identifying where the patterns came from and how to get out of that cycle. What? Kim? Anyway, I'll see you Thursday. Anyhow, oh, wait. No, I know what I'll do. I will, because this is graduation weekend. So I might not be here Friday because I got a workshop all day Friday. We'll see. Maybe maybe I do a session with a special guest. It might be later. Okay, y'all. I'll see y'all next time. Y'all have a great day. Bye.